Going to the whole like dating thing, like how relieved are you that you're married and you don't have to deal with that bullshit?
It's definitely better that way. But you know, if you're married to the right person, but if you're married to a fucking crazy person, you know, then it's like, oh well, how do I get out of this? I mean, Robin Williams was divorced 3 times. There's another one that Molyneux talked about recently, and he blamed women being addicted to free stuff for why Robin killed himself, which is.
How the fuck does he know anything? Like, that's the thing. He's sitting there acting as though, and it goes beyond Molyneux. Molyneux isn't the only one who said stupid shit about the Robin Williams suicide. Rush Limbaugh did. People made a lot of assumptions as to why he took his own life.
Right.
Are you really going to discount depression? Are you going to discount, you know, the chemical changes and chemical imbalance in someone's brain that leads them to depression? You're going to blame certain people for it? I mean, Limbaugh was talking about how leftist ideology led to Robin Williams killing himself. When you use a suicide to push your fucking political agenda, you are insane. You have no credibility in my book.
But Limbaugh's a troll, a professional troll.
And so is Molyneux.
And he's doing it again.
Yeah.
You can't, first of all, you absolutely can't blame anyone else for Robin killing himself.
Yeah.
That's number one, right? And this idea that women being addicted to free stuff and then alimony is the reason why he killed himself. Well, no. First of all, he was depressed. That's one. He had massive addiction problems. That's two. There's all sorts of things that happen to the brain. I mean, if you brought on an addiction expert and they talk to you about substance abuse and the highs and lows and just the neurochemistry involved in the imbalance in the brain when you're pumping chemicals in and then taking those chemicals out, and his career was in a shambles. He had a lot of issues. He had Parkinson's disease. He was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's, and Parkinson's medication has been known to cause suicidal thoughts and depression. So there's a wide variety of issues that could have led, besides the fact that he was financially in debt. But even though he's financially in debt, like he had this $30 million house that he was trying to sell. And you know, it was costing him a lot of money every month, but he still fucking had a $30 million house. You know, I mean, it's like, I don't know how much money he was making. I don't know how much money he had. I don't know how much money he had to give up. Apparently he had to give up a lot of money in divorce. Yeah, and that sucks. It sucks when people have to do that. And I think if there's any law, like the men's rights arguments, there's 2 that make any sense whatsoever. It's there have been instances where people have been denied visitation rights, seeing their kids, and denied custody, and people have lied. But men have lied too, and women have lied too, and it's more about dishonest people than it is about anything.
Yeah, I think that men's rights activists do have really good points when it comes to the prosecution of men versus women. I mean, if you look specifically at pedophilia, right? Or if you look at a male teacher in his 30s having sex with a 14 or 15-year-old student versus a female teacher in her 30s having sex with like a 14 or 15-year-old male student, I know you're going to disagree with me. You're going to be like, well, yeah, the boy wanted it. The boy wanted it.
No,
I know.
I'm going to disagree with you because it's not possible. This is what, I mean, I have a joke about it. It's a man can molest a 14-year-old girl, but a grown woman can't really molest a 14-year-old boy. She can only let him fuck her. And it's not the same. Like, the boy's gonna be okay. He really is. I mean, he'll be a little confused at first.
Don't you think that double standard in our justice system is ridiculous? That a man is gonna go to jail for a long time if he does that, but a woman doing the exact same thing doesn't face any
no.
I mean, she will face consequences, but it won't be as severe.
I think there are double standards that make sense, and I think that's one of them. I think that double standard makes sense.
All right.
Just look, there are double standards for sure.
You would be comfortable with a 35-year-old female teacher?
If she was hot and I could take my son fishing and talk him through it for the weekend, like, look, dude, you met a freak, okay? It's not normal, you know, keep away from her.
Guy? That's hilarious.
Look, I'm being honest. I mean, I would say, look, don't marry that crazy bitch, but one day you'll be laughing about this. But right now, I know it's confusing as fuck. But it's just not, I just don't think it's the same. I don't think it's good, okay? I think she definitely should be fired. She probably should, you know, face jail time or something like that for fucking 14-year-olds. Obviously, she's a crazy person. But I don't think it's the same crime. I think it's a different crime. I think men having sex with young kids really freaks people out more, and I think it should. And when you see some hot woman and she's having, that's some broken, crazy bitch. I mean, it's a different thing. And it's why is it so many of
crazy bitch having sex with your young, impressionable son could be a really, really bad idea?
Not really, really, but kind of bad. I think it could be a kind of bad thing.
It's amazing. Yeah, look, men and women are wired differently, but I still don't agree with that double standard in the justice system.
Okay.
And also going back to the men's rights activists or whatever, yeah, the whole thing about holding children hostage in a custody battle, I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, I think that's awful.
It is bad.
It's awful, but I think the real problem is dishonesty. It's very difficult to find out when, okay, say if you're a judge and this person comes in with their husband and they both have two different stories and it's very difficult to figure out who's telling the truth. You know, who do you side for? Who do you side with, rather? Who's telling the truth? It's very difficult to know. I mean, is it the man? Is it the woman? Whose lawyers are better? Whose story makes more sense? Then you have the children involved. The children have to give their side of the story. Who's been coached? Yep. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's an incredibly complex situation in every single instance for the most part.
Which is part of the reason why, you know, I'm now 28 and almost everyone around me in my age group is like either married or having kids or they're in a serious monogamous relationship. I'm nowhere near that, right? And I don't feel bad for myself because take your time. Take your time. The last thing you want is to be in your late 20s or early 30s dealing with divorce and a custody battle where the other person is gonna fucking try to destroy your life. And it gets really, really heated sometimes, and that scares the hell out of me.
Well, I think it's incredibly important to establish what kind of a relationship you're willing to have and what kind of people you're willing to have relationships with. You know, when you're young, it's hard because it's just like find somebody hot, you know, and it's also difficult to find people that are willing to have sex with you. So you find someone that's attractive. I bet you don't.
I'm just kidding.
You find someone attractive, you know, they're reasonably nice to you. You're like, fuck it, let's do this. And then next thing you know, that's your girlfriend or that's your boyfriend, and you're dating them, and then, you know, they have crazy demands or they're nutty or they go through your fucking email or you find them, you know, doing weird shit, and it's like, oh great, now I gotta peel the layers of this onion and find out what kind of crazy person I'm sleeping with.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people's
like
lives.
You have a little bit of experience in that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you want to elaborate a little bit? No names.
No, look.
No names.
Look, I've been the other person too. I've been the crazy fucker too.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you do? Tell me.
I don't know anything. When I was young, I was retarded. I think that I'm probably retarded now, but not as much. I think that, you know, it's hard to get your shit together, and it's even harder to find somebody else who has their shit together. And for two people to both have their shit together and then like mutually understand each other and enjoy each other's company and enjoy having sex with each other, enjoy spending time together, and then you take it to the next level, have children together. I mean, it's complex. It's incredibly
really hard
complex.
to find someone who's actually a good partner.
Yeah.
It really is.
And if you don't, you're gonna be in a fucking quagmire, you know? And I have a lot of friends that have been in those quagmires, and it's ugly. I have a friend that went through a divorce, and you know, you want to talk about men's rights. Here's a tricky one. My friend went through a divorce, and in the divorce, his wife went to she planned the divorce out before she filed, and she went to every single good divorce attorney in town and consulted with them, so that when my husband went and tried to find a good attorney, he couldn't talk to them because there'd be a conflict of interest. Yeah, she planned this shit out. She went deep for months.
Very manipulative.
Yeah, well, not only that, they were married for quite a few years, and so he has to essentially pay her alimony for the rest of her life. They don't have children, and she lives in his $4 million house in the Palisades overlooking the ocean, and he has to pay for it, and she lives with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend comes over, and until she marries the boyfriend, he has to continue paying her. So if the boyfriend lives with her, he can contest it. So the boyfriend periodically has to move his shit out. So like, you know, they'll send an investigator over, and then she's like, there's no one here. And then the guy's like waiting with a fucking U-Haul around the corner and pulls in and unloads his shit again. Yeah, it drives him crazy. It's probably taken a decade off of his life. I mean, he had to significantly lower his quality of life and all these different things. that, I mean, it's not child support. This is not about a guy, taking care of his children. It's just alimony.
So she's not working.
No.
And
Why should she? Why should she work when she gets a free check every month? Molyneux right now is going crazy. Yeah. See, I told you. This is exactly what the issue is. He's going crazy. It's the goddamn women.
Women are now starting to earn more money. So like in my situation, I keep dating guys who aren't necessarily established in their careers yet, right? And so I ask myself, like, if I were to end up with this guy, and if I'm making more money than him, and then alimony comes up, I'm gonna have to fucking pay alimony,
you
right?
can't think about that though.
I know.
You can't think about that entering into any relationship as a man or a woman.
No, exactly. Like it's not like something I'm sitting and like dwelling about, like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? But you do think about whether or not marriage is really worth it in the long run, because you give up a lot when you get married.
You should also think about the fact that you might marry a bitch. If
I might marry a bitch?
You might marry some guy,
I mean,
who's a loser, can't get his shit together. And you're like doing well, then he'll start hating on it, like, oh, miss fucking career over here. And then, he goes off and plays disc golf or whatever the fuck he does. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard. You're going to have a hard time no matter what. We've talked about this before.
We have.
You're going to have a hard time.
It ate up like half your show, but
you're going to have a hard time.
Yes. How the fuck does he know anything? Like, that's the thing. He's sitting there acting as though, and it goes beyond Molyneux. Molyneux isn't the only one who said stupid shit about the Robin Williams suicide. Rush Limbaugh did. People made a lot of assumptions as to why.
Robin Williams was divorced 3 times. There's another one that Molyneux talked about recently, and he blamed women being addicted to free stuff for why Robin killed himself, which.
Going to the whole like dating thing, like how relieved are you that you're married and you don't have to deal with that bullshit?
It's definitely better that way. But if you're married to the right person, but if you're married to a fucking crazy person, then it's like, oh well, how do I get out of this? I mean,
Limbaugh was talking about how leftist ideology led to Robin Williams killing himself. When you use a suicide to push your fucking political agenda, you are insane. You have no credibility in my book.
But Limbaugh's
why he took his own life.
Right.
Are you really going to discount depression? Are you going to discount, the chemical changes and chemical imbalance in someone's brain that leads them to depression? You're going to blame certain people for it? I mean,